I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right. So just as I say we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around, we aren't going to let any injunction turn us around.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Thank you so much for tuning into another edition of the Chopping Block podcast. We know that there's a lot going on in the world, and we appreciate you not only supporting us, taking the time to support our work, but also we are very, very grateful for the opportunity to give you maybe a little bit of a break from the bullshit for a second. Of course, this is your girl, Ty, Saint Boogie, what they call me in these internet streets.
And this is Scissor215 on everything.
And of course, this is the Chopping Block podcast. As I mentioned, we are the audio iteration of two most popular sections on iStandardProducers.com, and that is the Chopping Block, where we break down album reviews by track, and the Credit Check, the most comprehensive listing of album credits you will find on the internet. And what you just heard was a portion of Dr. Martin Luther King's Promised Land speech. Because, you know, people like to focus on that free at last at the end, but don't like to talk about how we got there. You know, part of the Promised Land speech from Dr. King that we always hear, that we've heard a whole bunch of times, the part that we don't hear is, you know, where he talks about how maybe if he lived somewhere else, maybe if he lived in China or in Russia, that he wouldn't be surprised at the way that First Amendment rights are being trampled upon, because none of those countries have held themselves up to that standard. But here we are, and we've just spent 7 days watching the right to assembly get trampled on. We've seen freedom of press get trampled on, and seen journalists get shot at with BB guns and all kinds of dumb shit and not be given access to certain things. We've seen freedom of speech. Well, I mean, the freedom of speech one is, we've seen freedom of speech maybe exercised in a way that makes a lot of us roll our eyes, makes a lot of us want to curse quarterbacks. Because fuck that nigga, his name ain't coming out of my mouth on today. That's plenty. He's gotten plenty of attention today. And it's only 9:47 a.m. But, you know, it's like I've been saying since, you have to be under a rock to not have seen at least one instance of police being egregiously violent with protesters over the last 4 days. Whether it's driving into a crowd of people, whether it's stopping a car, stopping a moving vehicle. You tell people to leave. You stop the car as people are leaving, slash tires, break windows, pull people out of cars and tase them. And it's the kind of shit that if we saw it happening anywhere else in the world, we'd be ready to send in troops and dismantle their, you know, dictatorship and dismantle. Like, I live in a country that had their police force dismantled by the United Nations under the guidance and leadership of the United States. And then here we are here fighting for the same thing to happen, while the quote unquote commander in chief is threatening, not even threatening because he's already done it, is having police officers disperse protesters so that he can go get a photo op, as opposed to joining in with the people and speaking to the people and telling them that he understands and trying to calm shit down. So, yeah. So if you listen to the audio version of the podcast, you'll hear Dr. King's speech.
You know, one of the things that needs to happen is everybody who's out and about in these protests needs to be documenting everything.
Everything.
And, I don't even mean just uploading, because a lot of the time signals are being jammed. Just the fact that there's so many people makes it tough on cell phone signals. So if you've ever been to a sports game or, anytime you're somewhere with 70,000 people, y'all all using, 2 or 3 cell towers, it's going to be a problem. But what you can do is you can record and then you can come home and upload that footage, or get to somewhere where you're clear and upload that footage. And the reason why is it's very important that we tell our stories from the front lines. I saw tons of videos from friends and everything was completely peaceful. Everything was completely as it should be. So we can't let them just tell certain stories. Right. And, at the end of the day, certain people are going to reach out for selective information because they want to affirm their point of view. They don't want to find the truth. They just want to continue to live in their ignorance. So for all you white people out there who choose to continue to live in your ignorance and you choose to go to your selective news sources, when we show you these videos, don't tell us we're crazy or it's an isolated incident. Because right now, I can go on my feed and see a cop breaking the law right now. Right. I can go see a police officer breaking the law, stepping on the Constitution right now. We got TMZ obtained footage, listening recordings of NYPD talking about running people over, and we've got footage and audio of people talking about point systems. You get this many for a black person, you get this many for a Mexican. These are things that we've known for years. Right. Everybody knows the point system. Every black person, everybody in the hood knows the point system about hitting blacks and Hispanics. We all know that joke. It was funny because I thought it was from a movie, but it's just something that we all know. We all share these experiences, and we're all sharing these experiences on social media to try to tell our white friends, the ones that choose to live in this fairy tale world where their rights are somehow being trodden on, that this is our everyday life. So while they were protesting haircuts, and not being able to go play golf, everything was cool.
Come on.
It was all good.
Come on.
When we start protesting, and here's the hypocrisy. They're all like, well, George Floyd's murder was egregious, right? But you going to tell me Tamir Rice's murder wasn't egregious?
So on that part, I'm at the point where I don't care how you got here. I'm glad you're here. What I mean by that is there are tons of people who have tried coke one time and was like, whoa, I'm cool. This ain't for me. Mm-hmm. And then it takes people who have to go on a whole fucking bender and almost kill somebody to realize it. And then there's people who actually do kill somebody, still don't realize they have a problem, and have to be forced into rehab before they get clean, right?
Right.
So in that sense, I would implore, and I don't want it to sound like respectability politics because I've been cussing black folks in my head actually out loud up until right before we started taping this. I do want us to understand that systemic racism works in 2 ways, right? The same way that we have been beaten down to the point where we don't believe in the electoral system, or we don't want to call police because we've seen time and again that, 9 times out of 10, there's such a big chance of it not going our way. There's a whole bunch of things that have been beaten into Black people in America because of our experiences and because of the way systemic racism works. The other side of that is this beautiful, cushy white bubble where a lot of people really don't think that this shit is happening. And, because now maybe it's the perfect storm. Now everybody was sitting at home, ain't a whole bunch of shit going on anyway. Maybe the conspiracy theorists are right and they're focusing on this to get our attention off of COVID, whatever. All of a sudden, everybody is waking up and going, whoa, wait a minute.
Well,
maybe it's because it was a knee and not a gun. Maybe you could see a gunshot as an accident, whereas a knee on somebody's neck for 8 minutes is clearly not an accident.
So, this was absolutely egregious. in the fact that you can't rationalize this anyway. There's no way to rationalize what happened. No way. So that in itself calls for a universal outcry. But it also calls for the same people, because first of all, you still got racists out here. There's a whole exposing racists. There's a bunch of exposing racist pages on Facebook. So if you want to go join one and see what white folks are still saying, you know, or you could, what Candace Owen is still saying, you know, or what Larry Elder or any one of these coons who draw their power from the MAGA stone are talking about, you know, that conversation is out there. But I think what we're seeing is that the majority of people agree that it's not okay. But it's varying degrees. And we have to have tough conversations with our non-Black friends about our experiences because they don't believe they're true. I had a friend make a status where people came to share their experiences. And here comes a white man, a Jewish white man, saying, this status is counterproductive. Who the fuck are you, sir? First of all, I had to let my man have it. Like, dog, why would you even allow that? Why would you not even condemn that right away from the rip? Because everybody else did. Everybody else on the status, white, black, yellow, green, was like, what are you talking about? You know, go away. But I can't watch people amuse people who clearly don't want to get it. Or who want to get it in their own way. Like, I get it, but I want to get it how I want to get it. Because I don't want to give up my white privilege. I don't want to fully, you know, I don't want to look in the mirror and say, oh my God, I'm white, it's bad. But listen, we've been looking in the mirror for years saying, oh my God, I'm Black, it's bad. Right?
Yo, I was telling somebody, so a friend of mine posted, when was the first time a police officer pulled a gun on you? And a girlfriend of mine told a story about being 24 years old, getting into a car accident on her way to Macon, a hit and run accident. Her car is totaled and the police comes and arrest her. They never checked to see if she was okay. They never offered any assistance with her actual accident. They locked her up. Her phone got broken in the accident or whatever, so she couldn't call anybody. And when she finally got in touch with her family, who is I wouldn't necessarily say prominent, because right now in my brain, I feel like the word prominent means somehow public facing. But her family is of means. Her family is educated. Her family is, you know, here in Atlanta. They're involved in a whole bunch of things. She's a really, really smart woman. And one of the people that I really just admire how she moves in general, but I also admire the fact that she always harkens that back to the way that she was raised and harkens that back to how her family kind of gets down, right? So evidently her father calls the precinct where she was at, or the police department where she was at. You know, they realize they didn't fuck up. She gets released. Her parents pick her up. And she's like, you know, by the time she got back to Atlanta, because this happened on the way to Macon, by the time she got back to Atlanta, there was no trace that the arrest had even happened. Right? And she's like, I just wanted to put it out of my memory. And so we just buried it and left it alone. A year or two ago, I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, the police banging on my door. I go and I open it because it's 5 o'clock in the morning, 1, and 2, it's police officers outside of my door. And 3, it's 5 o'clock in the morning and they woke me out of my sleep and I don't have time to even be scared, right? Like, it didn't even cross my mind to be scared in that moment. And then when I opened the door, they were just like, wrong house, and walked on down. Apparently my neighbors 2 houses over had been having an argument and somebody had called the cops. Do you see that in that moment I could have been dead?
Oh, yeah.
In that moment, because I wasn't expecting nobody to come to my house. I could have not heard the door. I could have not opened the door because I know I ain't did shit and I know I didn't call nobody. So I don't know why you guys are here. Or they could have just not knocked and came in, because no knock warrants are still a thing in this fucking country and have cost at least 5 people their lives in the last 10 years by accident, including Breonna Taylor.
In the last 2 years, I've had police randomly called. Actually, I don't even think they would come to my house. So Slade used to live 2 doors from me. And there's somebody who lives between us. And then there's me and my family. And I get a cop knocking on my door. And he's like, somebody called and said, your music's too loud. And I'm like, there's no music on in here. Right? So I'm pretty sure my neighbor meant to call the cops on Slave and called the cops on me instead. Not that I wanted them to come to his house either.
But the thing is, you're your fucking neighbor. Go knock on the door. Like, right. Why? Okay. All right, I'm sorry.
Now, and this is my loud-ass neighbor who beats her dog. So that's a whole nother issue. But, it was just like, come on, bro. This is why I've had issues with cup foods. And I'll get to that in a second. But we've had that same conversation about when's the first time you had a gun in your face. I was 17, coming home on the weekend from college with my homeboy Mario from D.C., and we were in Stafford, Virginia at a gas station. He got a leak in the tire. We pulled over. As soon as we walked into the, thank you, Alexa. As soon as we walked into the place, the dude hit the alarm.
You're welcome.
As soon as we walked in there, homeboy hit the alarm. Right? So by the time we got back out, now mind you, we had a conversation with the dude. We bought stuff. Like we walked out the door, paid for everything, walked out the door, went back to the car, started trying to find the leak. Like we're putting water on it, trying to figure out where the leak is. Next thing we know, we're on I-95. We see cars flying, and they roll past us because there's no immediate pull-off.
Right, they had to go down and come back up.
So they had to go down and come back up. Right. So we see about 8-10 cars. We're thinking they're going to Fredericksburg. Like, wow, there's something going on. We're like, wow, this is crazy. There's something happening. They turn around and pull up in the gas station, guns drawn. It had to be a whole platoon on 2 college kids because we were black with bubble coats in the middle of the winter. So, I'm just like,
in summary, to those of you who've just woken up to this shit, welcome.
Welcome.
To those of you who are trying to assuage your old guilt about how long you've been asleep, now's not the time. Go do that shit on your own. No black person wants to hear it.
At all.
Respectfully. But just go do that shit on your own. There's a gazillion lists out there of shit that you can read. And as one person said, as Damon Young from Very Smart Brothers said, any book written by a black person is a book that can inform you on racism because all of us deal with it in some way, shape, or form at some point in our lives. So go do your homework. And then when you're ready to actually get to work, don't even come ask how you can help, because I've been told many times, don't ask how you can help. Just fucking get in, roll up your sleeves, and get busy. It's not really that hard to find the information at this point. You can donate to bail funds. You can donate to organizers. You can actually go down there and protest yourself. You can vote. I'm saying that with all the letters in super fucking caps. Georgia, if you're listening to us, and Sis and I are here in Atlanta, a lot of the people that we are a producer podcast. A lot of people that listen to us are here in Atlanta. There is a primary election on Tuesday, June 9th. It is not just the presidential primary, and you don't have to be like, oh, well, Biden's already the Democratic candidate, so we don't need to go vote. No, it's a whole bunch of shit on that ballot. It's fucking senators on that ballot. If you go to my IG page at St. Boogie, I've put up a list of resources where you can go find out where your elected officials are getting their money from. You can find out what your state senators and state representatives have been voting for over the last few years. There are resources to let you know what the fuck is on the ballot. Please, y'all, like, this is the biggest thing. I said to a friend of mine, and I've said it before, whenever I hear my black friends, my black American friends say that they want to leave and they want to go move somewhere else, I always respond that the places in which you could move to where the infrastructure is such that your quality of life would remain relatively the same, they don't deal with the systemic racism in the same way. It's not necessarily as ingrained in the way government works, but that's not necessarily because of us. For example, police don't do the shit in the UK that they do here, but that's not necessarily because the UK is more progressive. It's just in general, the UK police don't have guns, so it's kind of harder for them to kill people.
Right.
That doesn't mean that systemic racism doesn't exist. But beyond that, this is your country. This is your country. Stop letting people convince you otherwise. Stop letting people convince you that you need to go somewhere else. You need to leave the shit. This is your country. And as an American citizen, you have certain inalienable rights. When those rights are trampled upon, you have a way to fucking get around it. The DA makes a dumbass decision. You see how quick they got that Freeman dude up off of George Floyd's face? Out of there. And within less than a week. And within less than a week, all 4 police officers have charges against them. And the police officer who murdered George Floyd now faces 2nd-degree murder instead of 3rd-degree. That happened in a week. And it happened because the fucking governor of Minnesota kept getting phone calls and pressure. It happened because people went out into the street and kept putting pressure. LA, the mayor of LA just said that they are taking $100 to $150 million out of the LAPD's budget. It is your responsibility as citizens of LA County or the city of Los Angeles to stay on their heads and make sure they do that shit. Not only did they say they're taking the money out, but they said that they're redirecting those funds to communities of color. Stay on their ass. Make sure you know what you need, when they gonna do it, and whether or not those funds are being put towards it. And if they don't get put towards it, get Garcetti the fuck up out of there. That's how it works.
I watched one of the Congress, I believe one of the city council members from Minneapolis talking about how hard it's been to get money for any type of programs, including domestic violence, right? So trying to get money for domestic violence to educate and prevent and, tackle these issues from a community perspective. When a high majority of police phone calls are about direct domestic violence. So you'd rather not tackle the problem at the root. You'd rather just throw money to throw people in jail. And that's one of the bigger problems in this country. This is a police state. America is a police state. It's a police state full of guns. If you want to know 3 things about America, it's racist, we lock up people for everything, and we got more guns than everybody. Period. That's America. So all of our problems stem from those things. And unless we address them, because see, America's got this weird, well, it don't affect me right now, so I'm cool thing, right? And it's like,
that's not just America. That's humans.
It is.
But let's just say, for the most part, most humans are very self-serving, and that's why we appreciate those people who go above and beyond and work on shit and tackle shit and try to fix shit that does not directly impact them. Because most of us do have that self-preservation instinct of, am I good? Mine are good. Okay, well, I'm going to stay over here.
But here's where I'm not going to let America off the hook. Like, once again, Nazi Germany, right? When the Germans got Nazis to fuck up out of there, they completely said that shit's not okay. On every level. On every level, they denounced it. That didn't mean that every single person wasn't a Nazi sympathizer or Nazis just went completely away. They issued the courts. You know what I'm saying? The Hague and everybody went after former Nazis and people who gassed people and all that stuff. After slavery, we didn't do any of that shit. We gave black people a pat on the back, a speech, and said, good fucking luck. And then, we gave them Reconstruction and then took it away. Like, Reconstruction, I don't know if everybody out there do your history on Reconstruction, which was the period immediately after the emancipation. Shout to Texas, y'all was late. But the immediate emancipation period where there were black senators and congressmen, Hiram Revels, and all these great people who got these instant gains for black people. And then Jim Crow wiped that shit all the way out.
Yep.
So we had this period of, black people matter for like a few years. And then that shit was gone. Then it was whites only, colors only. So America has to apologize for its sins. This is the only country that does not apologize for shit. They either buy it away, like they did with the Indians. First of all, they kicked them out their land and gave them the shittiest part of America and said, go live here. We got entire states of stolen land. Texas.
The whole country. Whole country.
Well,
all 50 of them.
I'm just going to say we got each of them. Yeah, they're all stolen, but some of them were stolen by other people, and then we bought them from them. But yes, they're all stolen. But the way we've gone about assembling this country, we have not apologized for any of it, and especially to Black people who built this country. Black people have gotten the least of it. We apologize to the Japanese for putting them in internment camps. That was terrible. Okay. Right? We apologize to all types of folks for doing them dirty, but nobody's ever apologized to Black people. And the only thing we get is, well, it was a long time ago, so y'all don't deserve it. Yep. And I just saw Larry Elder say that shit. I wish people like Larry Elder would find a bridge and jump off of it. Because that is absolutely ridiculous. But that is why I will not let America off the hook.
Meanwhile, China is having a whole field day with the hypocrisy of this country, using American protest footage to say to the people of Hong Kong, hey, remember how that nigga United States was telling you to buck up? You see how they do they people when they buck up? Are you sure that's the person you want to listen to?
Mm-hmm. No, listen. It's true. We look
stupid.
You know, like I said, I live in America. I live in America, so we have this mutual destruction thing that we don't all want to get invaded and taken over or whatever. Maybe. I mean, I don't even know if that'd be a bad thing because I don't know how it would turn out. But what I will say is we've always had this thing. We've gathered under this flag, right? But it's shit that happens in America that is just plain hypocrisy and it's plain weird. This flag conversation is weird because people are hiding behind this conversation. It's not about a flag.
It was never about a flag, but it's also extra funny that you are upset at Colin Kaepernick and whoever else chose to take a knee with him while wearing a flag T-shirt, flag bandana, flag
right, exactly,
socks,
which is all
actually
against the law. It's all against the law. That is all against the law. Actually, I mean, I'll be honest. The whole thing that happens before sports games is a big advertisement. It should be against the law.
And it started all of a whopping 20 years ago, y'all. Maybe 30, because I keep like my brain is frozen in time. It started,
but nobody wants to. They don't want to talk about that. And if you've ever actually been to a sporting event when this happens, these white people are talking all through the flag. You know why I know? Because I was a service member. So when I see the flag, it's different. I take my hat off, my right hand over my heart. It's colors for me. I've seen people not pay attention, kids yelling, people buying beers still. Let's not act like y'all respect the flag. It's bullshit. You're a racist.
You respect the flag.
You're racist. I'm sorry. Let's have the real conversation. Drew Brees never read the flag code. He's never read the United States flag code. And nothing about it says anything about kneeling. And then when you say, they say, kneeling is disrespect. Does that even make sense? When does kneeling to something in history has ever been disrespect? You kneel to something to pay reverence. You kneel to honor things. You don't kneel to disrespect anything. And we're not going to start changing that narrative so racists can hide.
So the interesting things that have been happening, because we do have to kind of keep this, in line with what we do normally. We would like to. It works for me. Like, it is self-serving for me. I need something. I paused my news, my entertainment news briefing because I just really didn't feel like anything that's going on in entertainment was even fucking worth talking about this week. And I'm tired and, all this other shit. But, I need this little sense of normalcy, and we do need to keep the show somewhat aligned with what we normally do. So the music industry... Oh, you problematic bitch, you. Oh my God. Okay. So
can we start in Atlanta? You see my shirt?
Well, let's go broad strokes, right? Okay. Broad strokes. If you go over to billboard.com, Billboard has a list of petitions you can sign, of organizations you can donate money and time to, and voter resources. Because thanks to COVID, which is still a thing, by the way, please don't think that y'all can stop washing your hands and fucking social distancing, because this shit is still out here. And in about 2 weeks, niggas is going to start dropping like flies. But I don't wish that on them. But statistically, this is what we're looking at. A lot of states' primaries got pushed from February, March, April, where they were supposed to happen, to now.
A
bunch of states had them on the 2nd. A bunch of states, including Georgia, have primaries coming up on the 9th. This is still an election year. You have 4 months until the general, actually 5 months until the general election. Is that right? Yeah, 5 months.
And these are real elections. These are real elections. Like, there are real things happening on local and state levels. Please,
y'all gotta know that there are states, like here in the state of Georgia, the people who killed Ahmaud Arbery cannot be charged as a hate crime because there's no hate crime bill in the state.
There's no hate crime statute.
Y'all gotta know that Rand Paul is holding up an anti-lynching bill right now. Y'all gotta know that Nancy Pelosi has gone to the Black Congressional Caucus and said, hey, we gonna let y'all take the lead on coming up with some kind of federal unilateral police reform, starting with removing police departments' access to military weapons. No police department should have battering rams and fucking tanks at their disposal. And all that shit is left over from the crack era. So get involved. But the way that Billboard put it out there was...
they've never apologized for.
Right. They're not going to, sis.
Even though it's been declassified, we know every bit of it.
Sometimes you gotta just, you gotta accept the apology that you're never gonna actually receive.
I think we need to be keeping tally of all these things, because when we make our ultimate case, because at some point somebody's gonna be able to go forth in front of the governing body of the United States of America. They're gonna call Black people are gonna get the opportunity, just like everybody else, to go and testify in front of Congress and talk about these things. We need to keep a running tally of all the bullshit that we absolutely know America has done. They got a list of charges. We need to remember all of them.
So, that's very imperative. Billboard, it was very cute, but Billboard listed the article as, here's how you can do like your favorite artists and show your support for what's going on. Listen, they gotta stick to what fits their platform, right? Okay, cool. Shouts to the thousands of rich ass Black people that have cut checks. We're grateful to you. Thank you. I'm very fascinated by the way that so many non-Black people are finally standing up really loudly and saying, yo, this shit is fucked up and it's not okay. So yes, apparently it is true that the Latin Kings are working with Chicago police against protesters in Chicago. That's a thing. But at the same time, you got a whole bunch of Latin artists with worldwide audiences speaking up like Anel Pla and saying, hey, y'all, that's not just a Black problem. It's a Black and brown problem. We can't let this happen to anybody. So, you have your full list of like the J Balvins and Rosalias. And Rosalia is from fucking Barcelona, Spain. Like
Barcelona.
Barcelona.
Not Latin American at all.
Like when she sings in Spanish, if you speak Spanish, you don't even understand what she's saying because she's not singing in Spanish. She's singing in Catalan. People are protesting in Paris. There was 20,000 people out in Paris the other day. People are protesting in London. They're protesting in Australia, even though Australia is still not doing right by their Aboriginal people. But I'm glad to see us all standing up. What I'm also glad to see is people coming at these corporations next for the bullshit.
Yes. And this is where we can really talk about our industry. Because, the music industry tried to do a thing. And it was a little messy. Tried to organize a day of solidarity, but we forgot the solidarity part. We forgot to have the conversation ahead and let everybody know what the actual plan was.
Thank you.
So we went ahead and, we did the blackout. And a lot of people wanted to support. And I felt that. Like, everybody wanted to support. But,
so the first issue was there was a blackout Tuesday.
Right.
There was the show must be paused. Those were two different initiatives.
Two separate things.
And within those two separate things, there was like 3 or 4 other things going on.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody knew where to go. And then outside of that was all the motherfuckers that don't do shit, that have solutions for everything.
Right.
Talking shit about everybody.
Yeah. And that, that made it look even worse. The one thing that I do like the press coverage of it, because most of the press coverage was neutral. It was kind of like, hey, this was a thing that happened, and the music business coverage of it was on point. My only issue with it is that the show must be paused was started by someone who works for Atlantic and someone who used to work for Atlantic. I don't know what her current jobs, I don't know what their situation is, but I know that she worked for Atlantic in the past year or two. Atlantic is one of the most egregious record labels out there in just shitting on Black artists. It's not even a secret. Like, it's not even it's the worst kept secret in the music business. And that's not to say that all of them don't do it, but Atlantic CEOs, Craig Cowman and Mike Caren, are well known for double, triple dipping, for making people sign to them, for taking equity in people's songs. Lupe told us this years ago. Craig Cowman called radio and told them to shelve Kick Push because Lupe would not give him a piece of the record. Wow. Craig Cowman has a piece of Cardi B's I Like It. If you go look on Tidal, y'all know we do credits, and Cardi B was our first joint, Invasion of Privacy. You will see Craig Cowman listed as a writer and as a programmer. Bitch, what did you program? What did you write? I get that you're the executive producer or whatever. You're the big guy. You can put your name on shit. I understand. But what did you write? Show me the footage. And Cardi had to do that. Jay White, they had people that were involved, Jay Balvin, because these people will not greenlight these records.
Right.
Don't give them a piece. Mike Caren signs all these people. They even let Mike Caren go start a publishing wing that works with all these labels so they can get more money. APG. Then he took APG and started a record label part of APG, Artist Publishing Group. It's all bullshit. It's all a racket. It's crazy that we allow these people to take our talent and treat them like this, to sign them to these terrible publishing deals that they're never going to get out of. That you got a hit record on the radio and you're not going to get paid for another 2. You're not going to see a dime from it for 2 years. Right. It's a number 1 Billboard hit. You can't recoup. You can't recoup because they gave you $50,000 up front before taxes and your lawyer and management fees. This stuff has to stop. It has to. They're making Warner's IPO. Warner Music owns Atlantic and a bunch of other labels.
So let's put a pin in that real quick. So the show must be paused. Initially, the concept was a whole bunch of wild shit happened over the weekend. Mm-hmm. Nobody's mind is on business and work. So on Tuesday, cancel meetings, cancel business as usual, let people have a moment.
Right.
But then it turned into this poorly explained social media thing. Mm-hmm. And then before it could even happen, there were a bunch of people saying what you're saying, like, hold up, music industry, nah. Because you're also part of the problem. But it also coincided with Warner Music's IPO because Warner became a publicly traded company on Wednesday, the day after their execs led the charge on this, show of solidarity.
Right. Your boss made billions. Not the company, one guy. And they donated $100 million when he made billions.
Right.
Come on.
That's how that works. That's how that works.
Y'all still got people stuck in these terrible contracts. Let these people out these contracts, man. Let these folks out these contracts. Let these producers out these terrible contracts. Let these artists own their masters. Let them buy their masters back. We're not even saying give them for free. Y'all won't let people buy their stuff back. Some of these artists have the money.
That brings us back to the same thing that I said about voting and the same thing that I said about LA, people who live in LA holding Garcetti accountable. So, this money that's supposed to be donated from the police fund to communities of color. Y'all, it is great. And shouts to, who is it that to Keith Harris, who wrote an open letter to the music industry. It's on medium.com. It was covered by, I think, Billboard and Variety and a few other major outlets as well. But he started it out just right. He said, we're grateful. Listen, again, I am here for you waking up regardless what it is that fucking woke you up. You're here now. You're good. You see what we've been saying? Cool. Bet. Let's get to work. And then once the work is done, then we can have a conversation about why it took you so long to get here. Or we could be like, you know what? The work is done. I ain't forget about that shit. Fuck you. Go back to where you came from. Whatever. But while we're grateful that the industry wanted to take a moment, while we're grateful for all of the white allies who have said, you know, like It's the Real, like Nancy Byron, like my girl Sid, who used to work at our iHeartRadio, and I forget where she's at now. Like Fadia Kader, who is, you know, not Black. She is of Middle Eastern descent, Palestinian descent, I believe. But people who have said, hey, we would not have our careers without Black people. And we owe it to Black people to stand up with them and make sure that this shit does not keep on going. We're very grateful for these conversations. But there's also work to be done within the music business. And when this calms down...
And within Black folks in music.
And there've been Black folks in music, because let's not act like a whole bunch of y'all are not lording the fuck out of your privilege with your VP titles and your A&R titles or whatever the fuck have you, managers and all that other shit. And, you know, also stepping and trampling on the rights of creatives.
Exactly. No, but they send us out to do the dirty work. It's like college recruiters, you know. They wine you, they dine you, they you know, a low cost buy-in, like Focus's wife said yesterday in our conversation, a low cost buy-in, like, oh, here's a car, here's $100,000, but you're giving up your rights, perpetual rights.
Yeah. So, you know, y'all got to stay on top of. We got to stay on top of some of these people and hold them accountable and make sure that in our changing of the country's mindset that trickles into the music business.
Exactly.
Because it's already one movement that's never going to touch the music business. Like, we can't bring the Me Too movement into the music business because there ain't going to be no music business left. Well, everybody, not everybody, but so many people will get canceled.
No, I feel you.
But,
Absolutely.
you know, we got to start holding people accountable. What were you going to say about Atlanta?
So I was going to say, you know, starting with Atlanta, the message that we are sending to each other, you know, I woke up this morning, it was on my spirit. Like, I live with somebody who I don't agree with every day on everything. But we live, we function, we raise children, you know, we have a household, we pay bills, we do all the things we need to do, and we don't always agree on everything, right? I'm not going to cancel her. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you know, there are people out here saying egregious stuff or whatever. But I took issue with the mayor's tone.
Ooh.
I took issue with Tip's tone. I took issue with Killer Mike's tone. I felt where they were coming from, but I took issue with their tone, especially in front of a national audience. Because they're often the ones who say we got to keep these things to us. You know what I'm saying? Like, you went on TV and talked to people like you was legit they mama. And you're an elected official. We put you up there and we could take you down. And that's not to say I have an issue with Keisha as a person. I think she's done a very good job.
He's referring to Keisha Lance Bottoms, the mayor of Atlanta, by the way, in case anybody was
for those who don't know,
which Keisha. Not Keisha and Pam.
Not your homegirl, Keisha.
Not your homegirl.
We talk about the mayor of Atlanta, Keisha, who I absolutely think is doing a decent job. But Atlanta is not a perfect city. So, you know, Tip was true when he said Wakanda. This is Wakanda. But you got to remember, you got to watch the whole movie. Wakanda was not a perfect place. It just appeared to be a perfect place.
Right.
And that was the thing. That is Atlanta. Atlanta is not a perfect place for Black people. it appears to be one.
Right.
Atlanta is a lot of this shit is perception. I'm dead in the middle of Atlanta. I can tell you, a lot of this shit's perception. We know. So for them to get up there and kick that whole story, it was cool. I just didn't like their tone, and they dialed it back, and had their moment.
The only thing I appreciated was, one, Killer Mike shouting out CNN in their karma and reminding them that you reap what you fucking sow. And the reason why I say that I appreciated that is, as a woman who lives alone in the city of Atlanta, I have been worried about people rioting and looting since March. The reason why I've been worried about this shit since March is because since this pandemic hit, all the media has done is talk about the economy, is talk about scarcity, lack of availability, and just anything that falls in that range. Whether they talk about there's no toilet paper, whether they talk about mad people is applying for unemployment and they not getting any money, whether they talk about a lot of these mom and pop tax preparers offices who usually will file taxes and have the funds be directed to their account. And because, you got a loan, you got an advance on your income tax, right? So they went ahead and cut you a check for whatever your tax return was going to be. And they filed that tax return and put it into their own account. And then now we're in the middle of a pandemic and their office is closed and you're trying to get your money. Whatever. Y'all been talking about lack and scarcity since March. And it was only a matter of time before poor people took out their fucking frustration on something. And I ain't gonna front. I do not feel bad that they decided to take that shit out on fucking Buckhead. If you're not in Atlanta, I want you to know that or even if you're in Atlanta, despite the fact that we've been under curfew since Saturday and we are set to be under curfew through this weekend, I have driven around enough business districts in Atlanta where you would have no clue anything is going on. Nothing.
I know, completely. And I live in an area where you'd have no idea where anything is going on. Ain't nobody up here bothering us.
The only thing I've seen in the West End is Walmart with its windows boarded up, but that seems to have been a company-wide edict that went out in certain areas. So even the Walmart on Cascade, which is a smooth 10, 15 miles away from where the protests were happening, that one was boarded up and closed early. Like Walmart's closing as early as like 4 p.m. apparently. But also in Florida. That's also happening in Florida. I went over in the Edgewood district, where that Kroger and Target and Barnes and Noble is.
Best Buy and all that stuff.
Target was boarded up. Ross was boarded up. Everybody else was business as usual. People are closing early because obviously if there's a 9 o'clock curfew, then that means we have to account for our employees being able to get home or whatever, even though the curfew technically exempts people who are going to or from work. But I just want y'all to know that like the shit doesn't look the way that it's looking and that the media is heightening the voices and the stories that they want to heighten because it serves a certain purpose. Okay?
Of course. I mean,
so I appreciated Killer Mike calling them out. And I appreciated Killer Mike saying plan, plot, strategize, organize, and mobilize. I understand the frustration. I understand the protests. I understand why it went the way that it went on Saturday. But that's not sustainable. And unfortunately,
but they also didn't realize what we should have known is that a lot of why things went left was also on the police.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying. Like that first day on Saturday, I was watching peaceful protests. I'm watching nothing but videos of my friends downtown at peaceful protests. And then all of a sudden it went left. And there are a lot of reports. And we're starting to see how Atlanta police were conducting themselves. 3 cops just got fired. So,
6 cops are facing charges. And you and I have worked events here in the city from A3C to iStandard events to fucking listening sessions at a studio that can't hold 50 people, studio sessions at Patchworks. And you've got an overzealous fucking security guard that's doing the most about a rap listening event. Like, my nigga.
You know, the riot, so for people that don't know, at A3C 2 years ago, there was a riot. Or a trampling, or whatever you want to call it.
There was a stampede. There was people running away from a situation that was...
So, what people don't know is that was caused by security guards. So, what people... I guess people know, but that wasn't the main story.
Overzealously trying to keep a nigga out of VIP.
Exactly.
Because he stopped by security of back parking lot of Georgia Freight Depot.
With a stun gun with a beam on it. So, of course, people thought they see a red dot. They think there's a gun. They think there's a sniper or something. And then shit just went left.
And then we live in a country where we've just seen a whole bunch of nightclubs in Vegas. And y'all, the chickens have come home to roost. Bottom line, that's where we at.
That's exactly where we at. And you know, Malcolm said it. And if y'all going to quote King and Malcolm, if y'all going to quote, first of all, there's tons of other black leaders who we can quote at these times. I mean, tons.
What?
But if you're going to quote...
No way. There's other people?
But if you're going to quote King, if you're going to quote Malcolm X, please at least do some research on those guys. Please watch more than one speech. Please watch a speech. Please go watch a movie, watch a documentary, watch something. Like, don't just come out with, yeah, I heard Dr. King was this. And this nigga's arguing with Dr. King's kids.
Right.
I had one of my friends told, you know, Malcolm X's daughter, they did this thing, the Smithsonian, it's called The Lost Tapes. They produced a series with a bunch of never seen before footage and speeches and stuff about Malcolm X. Kind of shows a different side. I believe it's also an exhibit at the Smithsonian. It might be at the African American History Museum. I got to double check on that. But, you know, his daughter helped compile all the stuff. Mm-hmm. And I had a friend tell me, well, his daughter don't know nothing because she was 3 when he died. And I'm like, so you think that you know more about somebody than their kid?
Well, you weren't even alive when they died.
You weren't even here. But also, that person was raised by his wife around his entire family. And you, for some reason, feel like you have this ownership of his image. This is why Betty was trying to get control of her husband's image before she died. Because she felt like his image was misrepresented throughout the media because people felt like they saw a speech or two and they knew who the man was.
Right.
And everybody wants to make... My problem with Malcolm X is everybody wants the version of Malcolm X that they want.
Yeah.
And with Dr. King, everybody wants the version that fits your narrative. These were complex men. These were complex people. They had evolutions and changes. They grew over time. They actually both got more centrist as they got older. They got a little bit closer to each other's points of view by the time they were taken, way too soon in their 30s. But by the time they were killed.
30s.
So we got to remember, man.
You and I just hit 40 and can happily, well, you're about to, I just did. Wait, did your birthday pass already?
No, not yet.
What this is? Okay. What fucking year? Okay, no, it's still 2020 because we're never leaving 2020. We're never leaving 2020. We're here forever. We're here forever. But we could tell at 40, like I can tell you that I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago.
At all.
Shit, let's not even talk about 20 years ago. Let's not even talk about my mid-20s when I thought I knew everything. Like, no. So anyway, my just final on all of this is, I'm very grateful to the people who are out there on the front line because I'm not the one, for better or for worse.
I really wanted to go out today.
Green card, and it's on its way.
I wanted to go out today, and I still might. I have to take my partner to get a procedure done today, so I may or may not make it out. But I know I want to find some way to be productive, and I've been doing that.
I've donated to bail funds.
Mm-hmm.
I am donating my time. I'm volunteering with Atlanta Influences Everything is doing a group of like they're going to be out there feeding the community and giving out food because COVID is still alive and people are still hungry. People still don't have jobs. So I'm going to go out there and serve the community with them next week. I donated some money to another organization called Everybody Eats, which has been giving out, like grocery packages to people in the West End community since the pandemic started. Because there are nonprofits that have been donating food in, like No Kid Left Hungry has been really working with school systems to make sure that families have some resources, but you might not have a kid and still be legit hungry and, out of a job and out of work or whatever. And I am trying to get as educated about the electoral process and finding as many ways as possible to pass that information on because I can't vote, but I am here and I would love to quote unquote go home to my country, but the shit is super fucked up in my country right now. So I'm going to stay here and help you guys fight the good fight.
I don't have a country to go home to. So
you do. You're here.
I don't have a country to go back to. So
you're here. So
I thought it was really funny. Max Kellerman told the racist white people that they could leave if they didn't like it.
I mean, really.
So Europe is still there. I'm sure they wouldn't love to have
all of your ancestors' countries are still there with the exact borders that they were in when your parents left,
and they don't want y'all back.
Nobody's redrawn Ireland. Nobody's redrawn Italy. Nobody's redrawn. Well, maybe Czechoslovakia. That one is not the same.
Yeah, it's a couple. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a couple. But in any case, and like I said, I implore you to, hold people to task and hold them accountable. Don't let this, y'all. We did this peacefully 3 years ago for Philando Castile and 4 years ago for Mike Brown and 5 years ago for Trayvon and 5 years before that. Like it's been nonstop. And then things will get a little bit better, or we might get a resolution in one situation, or, like some other fucked up shit happens in our more immediate lives. That's another part of the problem with this country is the country is so big. It's very easy. Like New Orleans got a damn tropical storm barreling down on right. Louisiana this weekend. It's very easy to get distracted.
Very. And, it's also it's important to stay tapped in, but it's also important to control your energy because I've caught myself sitting there and just stuck at social media, stuck trying to fight fights, and we got to figure out what we all can do to be productive, to help how we can. If that's just grabbing your immediate circle and helping make sure that everybody's mental health is where it needs to be. If it's making sure that people are just still being productive and not going into these dark holes, then that might be your role to play for now. Maybe your role is not defined yet. Maybe, something will happen and you'll be needed in the call to action. So I'm staying ready for whatever the situation might be because the reality is I had to explain to my kids things that I shouldn't have to talk to them about. But it's things that my parents had to talk to me about, and it's the sad reality of, once again, being Black in America, something that I wouldn't wish on anybody else. Like, and I want to say that, like, I want to make that very clear to all white people, all non-Black people, and to be honest, on some level, all non-Black people are oppressed in this country. And some of us just have, it's been different lengths of time, and some of us deal with it differently, but they don't love none of us. America doesn't love any of us unless we serving them food or giving them entertainment, or playing sports, which is entertainment. So, at the end of the day, I wouldn't wish this on, I don't want to swap places with white people. I don't want y'all to, I don't want you to feel my pain. We just want the pain to stop.
We want the pain to stop.
We just want the shit to stop. So
this shit got to get better. So shouts to the revolution. And then we can talk about some music. The new music this week, it was singles that dropped between last episode and this episode that I cared about. But I just want to talk about the protest songs that dropped this week, if that's okay.
Yeah, good.
So
thank you for everybody that's tuned in, Agent M.
Yeah.
Everybody that's watching us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope. Make sure y'all share this podcast with your friends.
Please.
We got a great announcement coming up soon. We got a pretty big announcement that we'll be making in the next week or so. somebody cares about
you guys.
somebody cares about our podcast. So we're thankful. Big shout to Ty. She's been doing a really dope job. Shout to my Expeditiously t-shirt. My girl Dina gifted me with this. Dina's been out protesting and, standing in solidarity. She's an Arab American. Shout out to all the Arab Americans who've been speaking up. Blame the label.
All the people of color, the non-Black people of color.
Non-Black people of color, exactly. And shout out to all the people who've been speaking up, man. Like, we hear your stories. Just like I keep telling my friends, like, we don't have the time and the patience, but we hear you. And we are drawing energy from your positive vibes. So keep those coming because they are making a difference. As you can see,
make shit about you, please.
There are places where we aren't in mass. I saw a protest in Boise, Idaho, my dog.
Come on, Boise.
Boise, Idaho, right? And it's like, cool, so now vote. But they got Steve King up out of there. Steve King is gone. And this is where your legislative power comes into play. Get these old racist senators and congressmen and city councilmen and mayors, get them out of there. Please, this is where voting is absolutely paramount. That's how you scare them.
Don't think that the bogus decisions that they're making are just against or just a disservice to Black people. They're making all kinds of decisions on a daily basis that affect your personal life, that affect your job. How fucked up MARTA is in Atlanta, how horrible of a public transportation system we have in Atlanta. That's not just a disservice. It's because of Black people. It's definitely some shit they did to try to control, the access that poor people have to certain neighborhoods and the working class mainly. But, it affects all of us because we all sitting in traffic. Outside didn't even reopen for real and traffic back. Traffic came right back. Traffic, the first thing that came back. Traffic came back before the clubs.
Yep.
Traffic came right back. All right. So, like I said, this week we have a bunch of protest songs. Shouts to Dre of Cool and Dre. He dropped a song called Captured on an iPhone and dedicated it to all of the many instances of police brutality that we haven't seen captured on an iPhone. Dre's the one that made the album with Fat Joe.
Yes.
Didn't come to our event in Miami. Yeah,
because he was on tour. Yeah.
I appreciate you speaking out, man. How long has Dre been rapping? I'm such a shame.
So he's been doing, as far as I know, he's been doing hooks and stuff for a while. A lot of times people just didn't know. But you'll see a lot of Fat Joe records and a lot of Cool and Dre produced records where it was featuring Dre and nobody just made the correlation.
Gotcha.
So
because I definitely, when I saw Dre on this song on Rap Radar where I pulled it up, I definitely didn't know what Dre they were talking about at first. So shouts to him and his awkward delivery, but great lyrics. I'm sorry. It threw me a little bit. Conway dropped a joint called Frontlines, which was really good. Terrace Martin, I guess under the name Souths of Crenshaw, maybe, he's pulled together Denzel Curry, Kamasi Washington, Jay Perico, and Daylit. And they dropped a song called Pig Feet. That one got me for two reasons. One, there's something about a trumpet that adds extra power to certain moments to me. Almost like on some Spike Lee shit. But also, if you go and look at the Pig Feet video on YouTube, starting at the 3-minute and 8-second mark until the video ends at the 5-minute and 55-second mark, all that you see are the names of victims of police brutality. It's just scrolling like the most CGI'd out Marvel film. And you know those things, it'd be like 20 people had to work on programming Groot's mouth. And then 7 other niggas had to do, Thor's hair. Like, it is a long, at 3 minutes worth of names, you guys. Like, like Andrew Cuomo said, we've been having this conversation since Amadou Diallo in 99. And I took it back.
I shouted him out this week too, because I want people to remember, like, this ain't new.
And we had, and shit, I'll take it a step further. We saw that video of Rodney King in 92?
Yeah, his ass absolutely beat Billy Clubs.
And when it happened, everybody in LA was like, yeah, that's what they do.
Right.
Okay. Ty Dolla $ign got with Skrillex, and hold on, I gotta pull this back up because it said everybody's name. I'm not gonna be able to open it without playing music. But he dropped, I don't know if there's a full song somewhere, but they dropped a quick little clip called You See It.
I know you see it. My people are dying in the streets.
Because it's not, I mean, you really can you still say that you don't see it? Actually, yeah, apparently people can, because I had to almost get into somebody's ass that I went to high school with today.
They can, and there's still rationales. I saw a conversation about being a black intellectual, about being rich. Like, none of those things save us.
Mm-mm.
I just want to make that clear. I was a nuclear engineer. I went to one of the toughest schools in the United States of America, and I was profiled while in the military. It was 3 of us. As a matter of fact, while I was in the military, it was racist. Because I was in the nuclear pipeline, it was literally 3% minority. That's all POCs. So he,
okay, so Ty Dolla $ign, again, I don't know if they're going to release this. I'm assuming they have to. There's too many people involved for him to not release this as more than a 54-second clip on IG. But it's him, Skrillex, and Ant Clemens, Virtual Riot, and Nia Miranda.
Shout out to Ant Clemens, Jersey.
Ty Dolla $ign posted this on Instagram on Monday and said, that they worked on it the night before. So that's out there. And who else did I see that dropped some music? Y'all, Papoose in grand Papoose fashion.
Papoose.
And I can't even be mad at him on this one. Papoose dropped a song called Tribute and went through from the letters of the alphabet from A through Z.
That is the most Papoose-ish.
That is the most Papoose-ish thing to do. But from A to Z, he had 1, sometimes 2 names of people who were killed due to racism or police brutality. A through Z.
Y'all gonna respect Papoose. Also, happy belated. Well, not happy belated. I said it on her birthday, but happy birthday to Remy Ma. Her birthday was this week.
Can y'all just let Papoose shine by himself? Okay.
I mean, that's I can't.
More than Remy's husband.
No, but
I'm Golden Child's daddy.
I mean, I know him personally, so that's what I'm doing, and I don't know about.
And then from the great Bompton mind that bought us FDT, fuck Donald Trump, comes FTP. Y'all know what FTP stand for.
Mm-hmm.
Sawaji on that one. Of course, there's other music that dropped this week. Like I said, I was super excited about Rosalia linking up with Travis Scott. They dropped a song called Taken. The hook in Spanish is basically a new take on No New Friends.
I was cool until he opened his mouth.
Oh. Why you was cool till he opened his mouth?
Because Travis brought his problematic opinions to the forefront. Just like every other celebrity this week. Who felt they had to weigh in.
Not on the song, you mean in real life?
I mean in real life. Like, I was cool with the song. I enjoyed the song. The song is fire.
What the fuck did he say? Okay, all right, we'll leave it alone.
Another Negro apologist. We are the world, kumbaya bullshit. And you know what's crazy about that? Like, shout out to my homegirl Charity, man. Her parents and Travis's parents are acquaintances. And he got some black ass parents in Houston, man. I don't know what happened to him.
Texas, black folks in Texas now. Something else.
But he I understand wanting to separate yourself from the stigmas of your culture, but you still black as fuck, bro. Y'all gotta remember that. Lil Wayne saying bullshit. Y'all gotta remember, man, that money don't change you. I know rich black folks who know damn well that their money don't change them. Y'all ain't even rich. My uncle laughs at y'all money. He said, Puffy don't know what money is. And he's still afraid as a black man. So y'all can't afford to say this bullshit y'all saying.
I just really wish that more people would understand that sometimes you just got to say shit to your folks offline. Don't take it to the internet.
But they feel like they have to. It's tough because I know you're a celebrity. People are looking for you to say something, and it's I'm not canceling people because every female rapper from Florida would have got canceled this week. Tokyo Jets, Trina said some crazy shit yesterday.
Yeah.
Tokyo Jets with the George Floyd joke and very bad taste on camera. I don't know why y'all even let that footage get out. Like, who decided to publish that? Or, I don't know if it happened during the live
a poorly paid assistant.
But yeah, what happened to
pay your people?
Real publicists and PR people did damage control and media training and
no, they don't want to pay for that. They don't want to pay for that. All right, but yeah, Audio Push got some new music out there. Neo got some new joints out there, which I've heard really good stuff about the Neo joint. Big Body Ben, Dolph back. St. John got a
Dolph got a joint with Megan, right?
With Megan, yep. It's called R&B. There's a lot of good music out there, and that I'm encouraged by that because remember when we first started with this whole pandemic and the lockdown, we didn't know what was going to happen with music. And if we were getting music, new releases and videos from shit that people had already recorded, or if people were still working. So it's good to see that people are still working. And my brain and I also really love that like the OGs are still seizing this moment. So I came across this morning a song called What It Do, Sean P. Energy, which is by Paul Wall and Static Selector.
Of course. A song.
I don't know that I would have expected a Paul Wall, Sean P. tribute. I just don't. So, kudos to him.
That is, but it's called What It Do, so the title gave it away.
I mean, we've co-opted What It Do.
No, when I hear What It Do, I start singing Grills.
Yes.
Like that is the most Paul Wall phrase.
Or Drive Slow.
Right.
Or, I'd now evoke, what's his name? Kawhi Leonard.
What it do, baby?
The Lots and Swiss Beats drop a song called Gave It to Him, and the cover is a check from the United States Treasury. I love creativity and I love Black folks. All right, let's run into this week's releases, last week's releases.
Before we do that real quick, I just wanted to do a throwback post. Well, a throwback song that I think came and went and people didn't really catch it. Bomani Jones played a track called Animals, which was on the Compton soundtrack album. Mm-hmm. And it was Anderson .Paak before y'all was on Anderson .Paak's bandwagon. Mm-hmm. It was produced by DJ Premier and B&B Space Kid. And it's also Dr. Dre. That song surmises what's going on right now. So if you're out there and you've never heard it, go back to the Compton album, listen to Animals, and then come talk to me about it. Because when that album came out, that song personally stood out to me. It touched me because it talks about how they portray us. You know what I'm saying? And how they treat us. And that boy Anderson's a bad man. So shout out to them. Shout out to Bomani Jones for playing it. Shout out to the whole Aftermath family.
And shout to Ice Cube for still being the same nigga now that he was.
Oh, him and Ice-T, dog. Listen, those are my uncles. I need to just, they're like the last two people I need to hang out with before I check out. I just need to.
All right. So last week, apparently from what I'm seeing on my timelines, the most amazing thing to happen is this Freddie Gibbs Alchemist project called Alfredo. I've heard a lot of people I would never expect to be talking about a Freddie Gibbs project, talking about this project.
I need another thumb to put up.
Here, have mine, because I haven't heard it yet, but I trust you. It is, how many tracks? 10 tracks, all produced by The Alchemist. Tyler's on here, Benny the Butcher's on here, Rick Ross on here. Oh, shit. So y'all go check that out. What's Conway's on here? Huh?
Benny the Butcher. That's all you need to know. Absolutely.
That song is called Something to Rap About.
Absolutely destroyed.
Actually, no, I'm lying. That song is called Frank Lucas.
Frank Lucas, yes.
Yes. So y'all go check that out.
Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Ooh, sis.
The Rat song.
Sis.
Good morning.
Sis, too early. Anuel AA also dropped a project called Emmanuel. Y'all know I like to remind y'all that I speak languages and shit.
Wait, which one?
Anuel.
Oh, yeah. Emmanuel. Shout out to the homie Jay Oliver, who's got a record on there. I mean, it's a black producer from Baltimore.
Nice.
On a huge Latin album. That's crossover right there.
You know what I really enjoy? What I'm really enjoying about these urban Latin artists, I think that's what they call it, urbano. I think is what the category that they put it in. Yo, it's a lot of bringing your homies along for the ride going on with these people. It's a lot of collabs. It's a lot of people whose names I don't become familiar with until I see them on somebody else's track. So
and then and then they joint come out and then they pop, because that's how I found Anuel and Setch. Like, that's how I found them as features on other people's albums, Bad Bunny stuff. That's how I found Bad Bunny. I mean,
that's how I found Bad Bunny.
Right. So
we found that. Well, I found Bad Bunny because of Cardi.
Right.
And then Bad Bunny and J Balvin had a project together. Mm-hmm. So Anuel on this project has Bad Bunny's on here, Farruko's on here, Zion's on here, Karol G, somebody else I saw whose name was familiar that's been really popping. Karol G's on there twice. Ozuna's on there. J Balvin's on there. But then he went and got the OGs. Daddy Yankee's on there. Tego Calderon is on there. When the last time you heard Tego Calderon's name? It's been a minute.
It's been a little bit, yeah.
Couple of newer names to me. Well, Yandel is on there from Visin and Yandel. Couple of names I'm not familiar with are on here as well. Kendall Capone and Nyengo Flow.
Oh yeah, they've been on all kind of stuff. They was all over J Balvin's the first album, Colores. The one with the long ass titles.
You're talking about Bad Bunny's album. You gotta go look at it.
Bad Bunny. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do what I want to do.
Yep. Which is still one of my favorite albums of the year.
And then he also, they're doing, I think, smart American collaborations. And the reason why I say that is because they're not going for people who are popping. I think they're going for people that make sense to their music, or, people that they fuck with for real. So like the two American features on this project are Lil Wayne and Travis Barker.
Yeah. Why not?
Why not? So y'all go check that out. And then yesterday, did we have a release date for Run the Jewels 4?
We did, but it just came out yesterday all of a sudden.
When was it supposed to come out?
I feel like it was supposed to come out on the weekend.
Well, shit, it's here now.
Oh yeah, I was just scrolling through Twitter mad as hell, and then they're like, hey guys, we just decided to do this right now. Here you go.
It's really good. It's really good. I started to go back and listen to RTJ3 just for comparison. And I didn't get all the way through it, but RTJ4 to me felt like one of those Sin City style animated, but also live action type films. Like, I want to see a visual like that with just the audio from that project. Mm-hmm. I don't need no dialogue. I just need the audio, the music, and the visual to go with it. I can't wait to see them drop more videos for this, which obviously they can't get as creative as they normally would. But it is out now. We haven't gotten a chance to get it up on the site yet.
No.
Literally dropped yesterday, out of nowhere.
In the middle of the day.
In the middle of the afternoon.
Here you go.
You're welcome. Let me see if we have any kinds. Let me pull it up and see what information we have about it. So according to Genius, they did drop it early in response to everything that's been going on. The project is on streaming services. It's also available for free on the Run the Jewels website with an option to donate to the National Lawyers Guild Mass Defense Fund, which is the number that's been circulating for people if you get arrested while protesting that you can call, get an attorney to come and help you out. I'm trying to see who this quote is, but it doesn't say who it's actually by, but it said, "Fuck it, why wait? The world is infested with bullshit, so here's something raw to listen to while you deal with it all. We hope it brings you some joy. Stay safe and hopeful out there, and thank you for giving two friends a chance to be heard and do what they love." So I guess it's a joint statement.
Yeah, it looked like so. It looked like it was.
11 tracks. Listen, The first thing that stood out to me is Out of Sight, track 3 featuring 2 Chainz.
I was just looking at that.
Because when 2 Chainz came in, I was like, I know this voice. And I couldn't place it. I so thoroughly love when Tawheed Ebbs jumps out and says, no, I'm a rapping ass nigga too. Like, y'all, I be rapping my ass off. And here you go.
Forget that.
A lot of people forget that. And so whenever he pops up and reminds us, I'm always really excited about that. The joint with Pharrell on it, Pharrell and Zach De La Rocha, is definitely another one that I really enjoyed. And I think the whole project kind of gives me that vibe. It gives me, some of the production gave me kind of like RZA feels, but a lot of it gave me Rage Against the Machine, but like older, like we're raging. It's not a peaceful rage. It's a quieter rager. It's a more organized rager. It's a rager that's going to hurt your pockets.
Gotcha.
And them jewels. Did you get a chance to check it out yet?
No. I got it queued up on Tidal. I'm gonna take a listen to it. Might be a good one to do a chopping block on.
Definitely. I think we should do it as a group. I think that would really work well. Of course, you've heard the first 2 singles off of here already, which was Yankee and the Brave 4 and Ooh La La. Those 2 have been out from the beginning of the year.
Ooh la la, wee.
It's good music. I have to take a road trip this weekend. I wish that I wasn't taking a road trip with 2 little people so that I could actually listen to this.
Florida?
Maybe I will. Maybe I'll just listen to the clean version. Because it's really one medium person and 1 little person. Shouts to Trackstar, the DJ, for doing some scratches on here. And was everything produced by LP? Is that how this works?
It looks like there's different producers. Okay. He's on a lot of the tracks. You also got Torbett and Wilder Schwartz. There's also a lot of stuff with a lot of the stuff is LP, Little Shalimar, and Wilder Zobi. And then you got a couple other features sprinkled in there. I know Boots is on here somewhere, and Josh Homme is on a joint or 2 as well. But the majority of it is LP, Little Shalimar, and Wilder Zobi.
Shouts to them. Y'all make sure y'all go check that out. And just like that, it's June. And we're on to a whole brand new calendar of releases that we haven't even had a chance to really, I ain't gonna lie to you guys, there's been a lot of shit going on. This is the first time I'm looking at this list, and I'm sure that it is also SZA's first time looking at this list.
I don't even know what's happening.
Okay, cool. I got you. I'm excited about Mr. Easy and Empower Africa dropping a compilation project. It's an EP. It's only 5 songs, but so Mr. Easy, who is a huge Afrobeat star, locked in a partnership with YouTube directly to create this platform called Empower Africa that allows him to amplify the voices of other African artists. What has been the most fascinating to me is if you go to Empower Africa's YouTube page, the visualizers that they make for their songs, if I could find that damn illustrator, Bruh. Super talented, super impressive. Love those. I can't wait to check that out. Who else we got? Flatbush Zombies dropping an EP this week.
I wonder how many of these people are actually dropping.
I think the things are already kind of in the pipeline, and so they're just gonna go.
Well, the conversation has been, our label is just going to conduct business as usual. Pretend to take a day off on Tuesday instead of the day where we drop music, so you're not actually taking much of a day off, and then proceed with the weekend as planned. Like, was that part of y'all? Let me get this out the way so we don't interfere with our money. Like,
the flip side of that conversation has been the artists need the streaming money. They can't tour, they can't do shows, they can't do performances. Like they
I mean,
music out.
The other side of that is, somebody drops.
They not getting no money off of that shit anyway.
If somebody drops some ignorant ass music, it's like, fam, not right now.
Well, here's the thing. Even in heavy moments, we need dumb ignorant shit, I think. We need mental break. Like you just said, we need a mental break every so often.
You know what? We do, but I'm gonna be honest right now. We need a generation of musicians that are doing what Run the Jewels is doing. You don't have to do it all the time. But, when the self-destruction came about, right? Every rapper on self-destruction wasn't 24/7 fight the power rap. We just need a bit of seriousness right now.
We need a leader for that to happen, though.
Well, we do, but like I said, back then it was just a bunch of dope people came together and said, "Yo, we need to do this." So
somebody led that charge.
Well, of course, somebody led We Are the World. You had a Quincy Jones, but somebody's got to be that person. I mean, Run the Jewels put out an album that's great, but we need pain music. We don't have pain music now. We got a bunch of shit that don't mean nothing. So on a timeline where everybody's talking about loss and anger, and you come with your booty raps.
I mean, we just went through a list of like 10 songs that dropped just this week.
We did. And
that was all pain music. But in the defense of the artist right now, one, a lot of us are in shock. Two, this feels like it's been going on for a really, really long time. But this particular incident, George Floyd died a week and 2 days ago. George Floyd died.
But Ahmaud Arbery died.
Yeah. No. I get that. But I'm just saying that this current, where we are right now, that's been going on for about 5
I'm in the same wave. I'm still on Ahmaud Arbery. I'm still on Breonna Taylor. Like, this has all just been one continuous day. Like, I was running with Ahmaud, went outside with my quarantine body and start running, and then we had Breonna Taylor and also let's not forget the trans voices. Let's not forget the queer voices who are also out here dying that aren't being included in this conversation, in the mainstream Black conversation, who need to be also included. But
yeah, because there was definitely a trans woman beaten by some Black men, beaten to death in Chicago just this week. And it's only Thursday, you guys.
I believe Iyana Dior. I don't want to mispronounce the name. And then there was also a trans person killed by police also this week, who I also mentioned on my timeline, because we gotta be inclusive, man. This ain't the time. This ain't the time to pick and choose. Like I said, we ain't got to like everybody's life choices or whatever. Me personally, I don't have any problem with anybody's life choices as far as sexuality.
Not life choices, but, just lives.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, I'm speaking to people from their point of view, people who think that those types of things are a choice or whatever it is. Like, you don't have to agree with what, who people are, what their representation of themselves are, what they choose to be versus whatever you think is fine or whatever. We don't have time for that judgmental shit. If all black skin needs to be normalized. All people of color need to be normalized. That's it. Can't pick and choose. We're gonna drop hashtags. We need to drop all the hashtags.
All the hashtags.
A black person.
And like a friend of mine said the other day, don't be about Black lives if you're still being selective about which Black lives have value.
Exactly.
You can't just be about straight cis Black lives.
Right.
So, be that as it may, Bauer is scheduled to drop a project on Friday called Planets Mad. Max B. So the story behind Max B is that Max B somehow whittled his 26-year sentence down to a 12-year sentence, and then whittled his life sentence down to a 26-year sentence, and is now working to whittle that down to a 12-year sentence, which would actually have him back on the street next year. And in the midst of all that, he's dropping an EP called Charlie. I think we talked about that.
He just dropped the EP like a couple weeks ago.
Well, he's back.
Max is letting him out.
He's back. Shouts to Vibes Cartel for the inspiration. Sammy is dropping a project.
Yeah, I looked at that.
Called Such Is Life. And RMR. Drug Dealing is a Lost Art. That's scheduled to come out. I feel like we talked about this coming out last week.
Because we thought it was coming out last week. Yeah.
So did people just kind of cancel releases last week?
No, he dropped the single. He dropped the single.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Dealer's on there. The Dealer remix is on there, which we've heard before. That other song that originally made us even know that Rascal, that's on there.
He dropped I'm Not Over You.
I'm Not Over You. Okay.
That's the one that came out last week.
Excuse me. And it's the 4 other songs on there. So elsewhere this month that we have to look forward to in the month of June, Chloe and Halle are dropping a project. Who else? I'm just looking at the names that I recognize, you guys. Bob Dylan is dropping a project. Is Bob Dylan alive? Okay. Jason Mraz is dropping a project. Is Jason Mraz on? Okay, sorry. John Legend got a new joint coming out. This one, Todrick Hall is dropping a project. It is Pride Month. I'm not surprised. CeeLo is dropping a project at the end of the month called CeeLo Green is Thomas Calloway. Whenever CeeLo does things, I hold my breath. It could go many ways. But the first single off that project sounds amazing. So, kudos to him. Sis, what is one thing that you're going to do to make sure that you take time to take care of yourself this weekend, my good brother?
I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I have time to take care of myself.
You have to.
I know. Because if I don't take care of myself, I can't take care of all these other people I take care of.
Exactly.
We're all wired differently. Like, I go to my happy place. My happy place is music. My happy place is with my friends and my groups, my small groups, having conversations. Like, I enjoy being with people. Like, my least happy place is, well, I'm not going to say that. I like to be alone too, but I love to draw energy from like-minded folks. So I'm going to be out here active and, in the middle of stuff because I like to keep rolling. So, but I've got plenty of ways to detach. I've got fantasy TV. That's the good part about being a Black nerd. I've got tons of universes I can go hide in. I've got video games I can get lost in. I got a bunch of stuff that I can do with the kids to enjoy ourselves. So that's what I've been doing.
My little bit of escape this week was Avenue 5 on HBO. Have you watched that yet?
I have not. Okay,
so this is what happened. Space Force with Steve Carell dropped on Netflix. Mm-hmm. And I went and watched that, but realized that wasn't the show that I thought it was going to be. It's also not as funny as I thought it was going to be. The show that I have been waiting on is Avenue 5, which is on HBO. It's on HBO Max. I think they dropped it as a digital release because I watched all the episodes this week. But it stars Hugh Laurie, and it's basically the story of the first space cruise ship. But they're out in space. They're on their way back to Earth, and some crazy shit goes on. So it's like It's like Gilligan's Island on fucking steroids in space. It's hella funny. Every episode,
amazing.
There's some weird, wild shit that happens. Like at one, like they have an orbit. Like they're just this one thing. They have they had to release the septic system of the ship, but the way in which they did it was fucked up. And so for the remainder of the show, they are just floating through space with a damn orbit of shit going around the ship. It's fucking dumb, stupid, hilarious. So if you guys need a distraction, that's a good one. I'm going to go celebrate my nephew's 8th grade graduation.
You know what? My son is turning 9 this week.
Hey!
So, yeah, we're looking up. He wants a Star Wars cake again.
Nice.
We're like, dude, they only have the same cake. He's like, I don't care.
I know somebody who can give you a different Star Wars cake. I'm going to send you their info.
Let me know.
All right. So happy birthday to the young man. Shouts to Anatomē, our producer. Thank you for, making sure that we are on point. Time-wise, even though we always go on overtime. Shouts to our recording home, 12 Studios, which...
We'll see you soon.
Even though the show has been saying all year that we've been taping there, we have not been there since the first week of March.
I'm in a coffee shop / gift shop. Looks like might be in the airport. Somebody left their jacket over there.
You're so stupid. All right, you guys. He is at Scissor215 on all social media platforms.
And she is at Saint Boogie. And it's right there for those of you who can see it.
And for those of you who are just listening, the Saint is spelled out and the Boogie is real. And the platform the podcast is at the Chop Block Pod on everything except for Instagram, where we are simply Chop Block Pod. The brand is at iStandard. And y'all keep washing your hands, keep fighting a good fight, and stay safe.
Deuces.
Peace.